What is up, comic fam? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. Today, we're taking another comic close-up, this time at the first appearance of the Vigilante. But before we do that, check this out. All right, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss when future content is dropped. I am still putting together that 1,000 subscriber giveaway video, and I'm hoping to have it uploaded by the beginning of next week, so you do not want to miss out on that. So like I said, today is another comic close-up. This is the 4th episode, so if this is your first time checking out one, be sure to look back at the previous ones and leave me some comments, leave me some feedbacks. I want to know how you're enjoying these, what you'd like to see, or what I could do differently to improve them, because I'm having a lot of fun making these and I want to continue to do it. So today's topic of video is Vigilante, Adrian Chase. He's been getting a lot of new traction in the media these days. There's a little bit more attention and hype on him. Plus, he's got a cool as hell costume that's very indicative of the time era he's from that I think holds up till today, and I'm excited to get into this one. But before we can look forward at him, we have to start by looking back for this comic close-up. So the Vigilante as a character first appeared in Action Comics number 42 in November of 1941. He was created by Mort Weisinger and Mort Meskin. So as you know, Action Comics was an anthology book that contained short stories with multiple different characters. And Greg Saunders was a Western-themed character who fought for vigilante justice. So it wasn't even the same person iteration whatsoever. But the one that we are going to be focusing on today is the one that was created by none other than Marv Wolfman and George Perez. And our vigilante gets his start in the pages of the New Teen Titans, and he first appeared as Adrian Chase, his alter ego. His secret identity. He is a district attorney that was working with the Teen Titans and the brother blood problem. And this was in September of 1982. And he also shares a first appearance with Blackfire, Starfire's sister, who made her big first appearance on screen in the latest 2 seasons of the Titans show. So this is also one to be on the lookout for if you are a collector of the Vigilante or looking to collect the comics that involve the Vigilante. So Adrian Chase was a crucial character in those comics before he ever donned the Vigilante persona, because it wasn't until the following year that the Vigilante showed up. But there he is working as a district attorney for the Teen Titans and to try to crush the mob. And if you look at the text dialogue that was included in there, they started throwing a lot of undertones out there. The reporter in that center panel is asking about vigilante style justice and whatnot. So it was pretty cool how they were kind of planting those seeds so early on, because the following year, the Vigilante made his first full appearance in New Teen Titans Annual number 2. And this was in 1983, September. He also shares the first appearance with Cheshire, another character that became reoccurring in DC Comics. So this will be the topic of today's video, is the New Teen Titans Annual number 2. So before we go any farther, let's take a comic close-up of that issue. New Teen Titans Annual number 2. This is from 1983. So right there on the cover, right off the bat, we get an awesome shot of the Vigilante. We got the crosshairs on the Teen Titans and a very scouting Dick Grayson. This is very much a Dick Grayson-centric issue. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, with the first page, we have an ambulance rushing to the hospital. This is the direct fallout from the mob's attack on Adrian Chase. His wife, and his children were all victim of a firebombing attack in their apartment. So then we move over to the hospital, where we're trying to get a update on what's going on with this family, and the Teen Titans showing up to kind of find out. And it's very spotty on if his family is going to make it at all. We have the mob reflecting on it, where the higher ups are not happy with this attack whatsoever. So they're very disappointed about it, and it looks like the one responsible for it, the one that the Teen Titans have been after, Anthony Scripelli, is now hated by the mob themselves, and they're looking to out him. So the Titans move on through, trying to just get beat on it. Robin is absolutely infuriated. He and Adrian Chase kind of took it upon themselves to do a vigilante-style attack on the mob themselves. So you start seeing a lot of undertones way back in Adrian Chase's first appearance, where the word vigilante and the concept of vigilantism is really under fire. So Scripelli leans in and reaches out to Lila and the Monitor for some extra help, because he knows that the Titans are not going to relent. So we move forward. Robin confronts him out in public. It just goes south, and he's getting under a lot of scrutiny. So the mob is hiring people to take out Robin at this point. And this is where we get our first little insight on the vigilante and this issue with him and Starfire on the roof, where their relationship is kind of on the rocks. But we get Robin in the crosshairs. And before there's an opportunity to take Robin out, this man who's got the crosshairs on Robin get the crosshairs on him, and his head gets popped like a zit. So though it's a little bit of an older book, it goes really hard. It's actually pretty violent. So the Titans are kind of coming up with an idea to put pressure on the mob. Oh, yeah, and that person that got shot gets hand-delivered to Scripelli, bloody head and all, and dropped in on his doorstep. So we obviously know that's the vigilante doing that. We have Raven going back to Azarath to try to touch base with her people. We have the Teen Titans taking on all of Scripelli's operations one at a time, trying to link him to some crimes and doing it unsuccessfully, but it's putting pressure on him. They're leaning on him. It's an old mob tactic. So they're kind of using some dirty tactics, and Donna Troy can't get with it. So now we start seeing some of the people that the Monitor is hiring to go do the job. We've got Scorcher. We've got Spear. We've got this excessively racist guy called Bazooka. Let's see, who is this person's name? I forget who. Slasher, knives expert, tanker, and a guy who's been turned into a machine. And then the first appearance of Cheshire. This issue is not only the first appearance of Vigilante in costume, but the first appearance of Cheshire. So we get some cool Cheshire action. We get the Teen Titans meeting together, and then that whole attack from all of these hired assassins on the team. And they pretty much demolish them. They're doing a fantastic job of taking them apart. They caught them off guard. And it was one after the other. They get dismantled. And right before Slasher kills Beast Boy, we see the crosshairs on her. This is like really the first panel with Vigilante in it at all. And you see his hands, a little bit of a shoulder, and a gun. And boom, he pops her head like a zit. Like, he is relentless. She is falling into the flames. The rest of the Teen Titans kind of get back up. Donna Troy busts Tanker. Kid Flash doing his thing. Kid Flash gets got by Cheshire. And right before Cheshire can make any more damage, Crosshairs, boom, takes her hand. You see a little blood trail behind her here too, which is really interesting. So she gets clipped. She doesn't get killed. But we move on forward. Raven shows up, saves him. The team is really questioning their tactics. And then they go and bust up a rendezvous between the mob and really get in a position to implicate Scripelli. And it turns into a huge fight. Huge fight. It all goes down. And while it's happening, we get Scripelli back at home. He gets away from it. And then that's when the Vigilante actually shows up in full costume, full reveal. Awesome, awesome suit. I just absolutely love his suit. It's definitely a sign of his times, as a lot of the Teen Titans stuff is. I mean, it's a pretty trendy book. This is an awesome shot. You can see some of his features inside of his visor there. And before he gets a chance to hit Scripelli, he teases him for a while. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but this whole page right here has a faded head of Vigilante in it. His visor is right there with Scripelli in the lenses pretty much, but it's just a faded head of the Vigilante. There's the V right there. That's awesome. But Adrian Chase reveals himself to be Vigilante, so there's no drawn out mystery over who it was going to be. Robin makes it there, stops him from killing him, but Scripelli pulls a gun. Vigilante kills Scripelli and saves Robin in the process. So Robin covers for him, doesn't out him, and that's where the issue ends us. So there it is, folks. Teen Titans Annual number 2, 1983. First appearance of the Vigilante. As you can see, it was a really cool issue. It was jam-packed with stuff. It was an annual, so they're normally oversized, and you see that it kind of focused a lot on all the different characters. Marv Wolfman and George Perez have been making fantastic comics for decades, and they did a great job of it. They really took these characters and just sideline B characters, literally sidekicks, and put them out front. They really could talk to a whole new generation by hitting these sidekicks and bringing them into adulthood. And in this comic, Robin is actually drawn more as an adult, and there's a couple of panels where they directly refer to him as, wow, I thought this was a boy wonder, but he's a man. So they're kind of priming him to become Nightwing not long after this. So they did a good job really scripting these stories way in advance, like how they spent a year with Adrian Chase with vigilante Easter eggs planted in there before readers ever knew what was going to come of him. And as you can tell from the opening of it, it's very Punisher similar. So there's been a couple of these that I've spotlighted where you see that Marvel has borrowed from DC. Here's one where DC is actually inspired or borrowed from Marvel, because you have a man whose family was killed by the mob, so he enacts vigilante justice with extreme prejudice. So it's very, very similar to the Punisher. So what happened after this first appearance in Teen Titans Annual? Well, Vigilante went on to have his own ongoing series. It ran for 50 issues from November of 1983 to February of 88. And spoiler alert, guys, he actually died in the end of this series. He felt the weight of his sins, quote unquote, as well as the burden of life. And he took his Magnum, put a gun to his head, and took his own life. That isn't to say this was the final time that people would see Vigilante in comics. It was a while before he reappeared, though. But he also made a few appearances on the television, the big screen. So he's actually, through popular demand or just obscurity, who knows, he made his way over to the CW in Arrow Season 5. Johan Erb played him, where you can tell from the image in this slide here that they did a great job with his costume here. Tactical gear, he's got a couple of V's present on him. He has the actual visor mask that's very accurate to the comics. They did a very good job. But more than that, I'm excited to see him in the upcoming HBO Max series, Peacemaker, that's a spinoff series from the Suicide Squad film that just came out last year. And you can see, again, they did a fantastic job capturing his look. They got his costume looking spot on with a modern twist with a little bit of realism to him. This premieres January of next year. James Gunn, who directed the Suicide Squad movie, will be directing this series. And Freddie Stroma will be playing Vigilante. So I'm really excited about that. So let's look at some of the values of this comic as it sits right now. So we got a couple of 9.8 sales. It looks like the most recent ones went between $200 to $300 roughly. The asking prices on some of these were around $300 to $325 when I checked them. But the actual sold listings were $275 was the last 9.8 sold, and before that $190. So it's definitely going up in price as we get closer to this HBO Max series premiering. Now, DC books do not have the pacing that Marvel books do on the spec market. So these will climb slowly, but depending on how he does in this series, and with James Gunn, who knows if he'll even survive through this series, this book could come down drastically or maintain. But with DC getting a little more popularity but not pushing like Marvel does, I don't expect it to go too much higher than this. You can still pick up raw copies from between 10 to 20 bucks. So it's a great time to grab yourself a raw one. I wouldn't necessarily recommend grabbing a 9.8 slab, but if you're okay with non-9.8s, you can definitely get some near mint copies pre-slab for fantastic prices. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please leave some comments below, and let's thank the sponsors real quick. We got Big Time Collectibles, who sponsor the monthly Legion loot box. If you're in the market for any amazing retailer exclusive variants, check them out on Instagram and Facebook, as well as their website, bigtimecollectibles.com. If you need any books cleaned or pressed, hit up Justin Comics over on Instagram. Be sure to use that promo code WeAreLegion and get a buy two, get one free special we have going on right now. All right, guys, comment. I would love some feedback in this. I definitely want to try to continue to improve on these. And as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.